recording. We're gonna go live. Kevin and Anna, I appreciate you guys being here today. One of the things that I really wanted to do was put together a resource that other coordinators and training directors could utilize across the country. We have a lot of individuals who are kind of looking into grants and wanting to utilize grants, but really just kind of for the most part, really hesitant because they really don't know what it is or what it can be, or if they do get the grants and they get awarded, kind of what does that work look like? And so I just wanted to take some time with you two today because I know you're working on a lot of stuff there at Local 29 in Portland with grant funding, pre-apprenticeships and stuff like that, and specifically some of the stuff you're doing within the prisons. So just a quick rundown, and feel free to kind of both just jump in and say whatever you want, because we'll kind of edit this down at the end. But Kevin, why don't you kind of give us an idea of, since you've become coordinator and maybe just prior to you being coordinator, what grants have kind of come through Local 29? How have you utilized those, and what have you done before, just overall?
So past grants that we had, I believe it was in 2018, the former coordinator, Jason Fussell, and our Northwest Trust Administrator, Greg Christensen, worked on a grant down here in Oregon. They got $80,000 for 2 cohorts for minorities, women, youth, and each cohort needed to have at least 12 participants in that. So I kind of inherited that one. In the summer of 2020, we put on both those cohorts. We ended up getting 25 people total. Out of the 25, 23 completed the program, or 24 did, but one decided they want to be in the ironworkers. And we registered 23 of those. As far as how it benefited the program, I mean, it helped cut the costs for our regular apprenticeship, putting this on, but it definitely helped our contractors. That pre-apprenticeship classes that we ran ended up being 4 weeks long instead of a 40-hour orientation. So it just gave those new apprentices, an extra 3 weeks of prep time before they got out there working for our contractors. Not to mention, in those grants, Jason and Greg was able to get some funding in there to be able to purchase these new apprentices their tools, complete structural belt, and complete reinforcing kit. That saved them a ton of money.
So with those 2 grants that were roughly $40,000 a piece to put on that 4-week cohort, what were some of the roadblocks that you kind of ran into with kind of facilitating and hosting those cohorts? Were there some things that after you went through that process you thought, man, I would have done that differently, or that worked really great, I wish we could do this again?
Well, as far as the money portion, when you apply for a grant, it seems like sometimes they want to earmark some of the money to certain categories. So I wasn't involved with that portion. So I basically had to follow their vision of how those cohorts should be ran. I mean, it wasn't a huge deal, but I probably would have put some of the money in different categories to help the apprentices out a little bit more. We did have to run, two Saturdays. We did a basic ironworker skills day to have people come down and try out for these 24 slots. I think we had anywhere from 40 to 80 people each time that came down. So that was a little bit of some challenging times trying to call that many people and get them down here by a certain date. There wasn't a whole lot of issues. Billing, again, I wasn't part of the initial grant, so I didn't fully understand the billing when it needed to be done, and sorry about that. But that's about it on the first ones.
So some of the intake is a little bit of a chore, and then obviously that contractual part at the end of it with the billing and data and recording, that can be a little bit of a work that people should probably be aware of and look out for. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So with the pre-apprenticeship model in those 2 grant funds that you did, or in those 2 cohorts that you did, I heard you mention kind of the offsetting of the cost of intake. So if I'm hearing you right, really utilizing the grant funds to kind of supplement the cost that you would already be spending on intake. And then what it sounds like is you've got, 2 to 4 weeks where you're actually kind of really hands-on training these individuals. So it would seem that you'd kind of almost produce a better prepared apprentice at almost no cost to the JATC or the trust fund. Am I correct there?
Absolutely. I mean, don't go into it thinking that you get 80,000 or 100,000, 200,000, that you're going to be able to spend this money anywhere you want. Again, typically at the front end, you have to, give them a spreadsheet of where you're going to be spending that money. So, we didn't get a whole lot of resources out of it. I mean, we did buy some more grinders and some more torch setups and stuff like that. Yes, that benefits our regular program, but we can reuse those for future cohorts as well to help cut down on costs. But yeah, just helping offset the cost for the instructor, giving the students more time to train, get a better idea of what our trade's about, and that way they go out to our contractors. They're a little bit more prepared. And then again, brand new apprentices, man, it's tough. They leave whatever job they had before. They're going to go 2 weeks before they get that paycheck. We ask them to pay a first month's dues, $100 initiation fee, and buy all these tools. So if you can get it into the grant to possibly pay for some of that, the toolkits and maybe the dues or the initiation fees. And sometimes these grants won't let you pay some of that stuff. So anything you can do to help the students, it's great.
Gotcha. That's good information. Anna, have you, correct me if I'm wrong, have you, or do you anticipate moving forward with some of these pre-apprenticeship programs? I know you're looking at some stuff in the prisons and stuff. Are you anticipating being an instructor for those pre-apprenticeships?
Yes, sir.
And how will that look in your training? Will you have kind of a developed daily curriculum or a class syllabus or structure that you'll kind of follow over the timeline?
Yeah, so we've got 2 10-week programs that we're going to be doing. Out of those 10 weeks, we've got 6 of them, and part of the grant proposal was giving them our curriculum as well. So we had to come up with that before it was awarded to us. So yeah, we've got a plan in place. It might vary, we'll see, but yeah.
Yeah, on that curriculum, James, basically we used what Jason and Greg had developed, a 4-week program, knowing that we're going in the prison system. We're not going to get them for 8 hours a day. So we took that 4-week and turned it into a 6-week, anticipating 5 to 6 hours a day with the students there. Again, Anna mentioned we got 10 weeks. Well, we decided to partner with the concrete finishers and the brick masons. Both of those trades are smaller than ours. They're both having a hard time getting women in their program as well. And it was just a good fit for us and them to come together. And then that's one way that we help sell it to the state and to present it to the Department of Corrections for the state of Oregon, bringing in multiple trades.
That's great that you point that out. I've always, in my pre-apprenticeship experience in the past as training director and coordinator, I've always thought, man, if we could just do something that was multi-trade, I felt like we would have a little better bite and a little better leverage kind of when we're dealing with some of these community-based organizations, whether it be the, prison systems or the Department of Transportation, or, just working with some of these organizations that try to help get people into apprenticeship. And so that's really kind of refreshing to hear. Now that grant that focuses on the correctional facilities, that was remind us how much that was and kind of what the overall vision is there.
Well, what do they call it? For Future
Ready Oregon
grants, and there's 3 rounds. So round 1, Anna wrote up a grant proposal. It was for $10,000, and basically that grant was money to explore getting into the prison system. So help cover her cost and any recruiting material we needed. When we first started that, there was a lot of pushback from other programs like pre-apprenticeship programs and programs that help people get into apprenticeships. everyone kept saying, hey, man, you're not going to get in there. They don't want you in there. But, you know, we didn't run into any of that at all. And then the round 2 grant was the main one. So that was $265,000 to do these 2 10-week cohorts with 12 students each. Again, some of that money is earmarked towards the brick masons and the concrete finishers. There's together is about $65,000, and the rest goes towards the iron workers. Sounds a little lopsided, but
I wrote the grant.
she wrote the grant, but one of the issues was presenting and training these applicants with welding and burning. And so last year our facility got broken into and we lost about $30,000 of weld equipment. And so purchasing new weld equipment and then taking the consumables to this prison and maybe getting a venting, some type of exhaust system there, just wasn't cost effective. So we decided to purchase 5 virtual welding machines with this grant money. So that allows us to be able to move from that prison to another prison if we expand in the future.
Nice. That's pretty amazing. So when these folks go through the training, you know, I really like the idea of the virtual welders being in there. That's a fantastic like way to, you know, kind of implement the technology and kind of, you know, sidestep some of the barriers that you talked about, you know, regarding not being able to actually physically weld because of the smoke and the danger and stuff like that. When these individuals go through that training and it's completed, what does the process look like from completion of the pre-apprenticeship program or the training program to that direct entry registration with one of the 3 trades that you mentioned?
Well, first off, you know, we're going to get with the prison counselors and stuff like that when we first get there. We're having a video developed, anywhere from a 10 to 18-minute video that we can run on their in-house TV system. Help promote these pre-apprenticeships. Once we get some interest, then we'll go in there and start doing interviews and to help select these individuals, but they must be within 12 months of release. Some of the information we need to find out as well is if they're getting released in that next 12 months, do they have any other obligations with any other counties or state that they may have to serve time? If so, they may not qualify to get into these cohorts. But yeah, once they're done serving their time and they're ready to go to work, it'll be up to them to choose which program they would like to get into. Again, we got some money set aside to purchase them the tools for whatever trade they get into.
We'll have an outgoing like exit interview. You know, which trade are you most interested in? We'll look at their scores over the last 10 weeks and kind of go from there. So then the other 2 crafts, they're offering direct entry, we're offering preferred entry. So, you know, regardless which craft they go into, the grant has provided us the ability to give them a boot voucher, buy their hard hats, their tools, pay for their dues and initiation fee, like Kevin mentioned earlier. And then hopefully go to work. And truly the only thing that's going to be preventing them from succeeding is going to be themselves. One of our community partners has said they will help with housing, childcare, transportation. So everything is being laid out for them to succeed.
Wow, that's fantastic. You know, one of the things that I recognized early on in utilizing grants was the lack of supportive services really, you know, woven into that grant structure and that mission. So that's really cool to see that you guys have that kind of already thought out. So great structure. Anna, when you were writing that proposal and you were kind of working with Kevin on replying to that grant and getting that put together, what are a couple things that you can share when you were dealing with all of that and that verbiage that may be of value to somebody else kind of entering into that space?
Oh, so much. Honestly, your letters of support are going to be the biggest help. I was fortunate enough to get a letter of support from a United States congressman, one Oregon congressman, I believe.
State legislature.
Like the city council person from the city that Coffee Creek is in. I was able to get a lot of letters of support. And it was a government grant. So when I was speaking to those elected officials, I would say, you know, this is going to be good for Oregon because. Now, if I was speaking with an educator, this will be good for, you know, education because. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's good for everything and everybody, but I really had to cater to what their interests were, you know, what they're looking out for.
Nice.
Does that
Okay.
answer your question?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Makes sense. Just anything that, you know, somebody kind of get, because we know, you know, I know you both know, and I know that, you know, the applying for grants can be a crazy whirlwind of a space, you know, especially for the first few times. So I was just wanting to get some perspective. So that's good. Let's talk about, I know that, you know, that was a big win for you. Not only did you, you know, come into the position and jump into the $280,000 or the $80,000 pre-apprenticeship grant cohorts, and then now being, you know, awarded that grant funding to explore and implement this pre-apprenticeship program within the correctional facilities. We were talking the other day about the stuff that you're looking at doing with Taro and the Indian tribes in Oregon State. Why don't you give us a quick rundown on kind of what that looks like? I'd love to hear from both of you about that. Kevin, you want to go first?
Well, that's just kind of starting right now, and we're still learning a lot of that stuff. So myself and one of our business agents for the east side of Oregon will be attending a meeting on December 7th with the Taro tribe or the Confederated Tribes out there for Taro. So I'll have a little bit more information later on. Anna did pick up a little bit of information. It doesn't seem like every tribe does the Taro Act. So
Hi. I mean, really, we've just been talking about it. So, I mean, we're thinking a pre-apprenticeship program, maybe in, you know, in their playground, instead of having them come here. And then, yeah, I was speaking with our business manager, and he let us know that not every not every tribe is part of Taro. So I don't know, maybe we'll explore that too. James, I told you this was really up in the air.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's great. I just you know, I just kind of wanted to point out the kind of vision and moving forward and being able to take some of that work you've already done and kind of utilizing that as a template moving forward. You know, obviously as you you know, move into other grants and other pre-apprenticeships and, you know, helping our communities, you know, see the benefit of registered apprenticeship and the living wage career that it can provide. You kind of have all of this past experience and work that you've done to really kind of template and just move that forward as you move into these other spaces. And so,
I mean, ultimately, we want to increase our membership, right? Because we all take an oath to procure work and you know, support our brothers and sisters. But also, I mean, go out to those tribal areas. They're low income. So why wouldn't we want to give them this opportunity?
right. Absolutely. Underrepresented communities and populations. That's what it's all about. Yeah. Okay. Well, we look forward to hearing more about that, that work you're doing in that space. And we'll probably do another series of videos as we kind of develop these things. Kevin, did you have anything on the Taro front that you wanted to talk about?
no, I've got a lot of issues or questions for them.
Issues.
Not issues. Well, there might be a few, but
I'm sure there will.
That's on my end, not theirs.
Yeah.
But no, I've got a lot of questions for them when I get out there, and until I get answers from them, I'd hate to give some misinformation to everybody.
Okay.
But we'll definitely revisit this next month or in January when you have another one.
Okay, perfect. I think, you know, one of the things that I can say, because I've been involved in probably 2 or 3 of the tribal pre-apprenticeships during my time working in the Pacific Northwest. And one of the roadblocks that we run into, and I was actually talking to the West Coast Department of Labor representative for the women and the tribes, you know, getting into apprenticeships and stuff, and was we would go into their local areas and we would kind of conduct these pre-apprenticeship cohorts. And then kind of at the end, when everybody was trained and skilled up and those jobs were available, it was difficult to get some of those folks to kind of understand the concept of, traveling to different areas to work, because that's kind of what we do as a trade, right? It's never really in our hometown or our home, neighborhood or whatever. The work is, typically kind of elsewhere. So we ran into some roadblocks there. And some of those cohorts weren't as successful as we would have liked them to have been. So we're having a lot of conversations now about how do we, really better prepare all of the parties that are involved in this endeavor to understand what it actually looks like, to be in the skilled trades and part of an apprenticeship and a union, and really kind of emphasizing that as we move through the pre-apprenticeship training so that everybody is really aware and prepared for, as we're training them, onto what that is going to look like when we're done, and kind of what the requirements are. So those are some of the things that I've seen. So maybe that'll help you,
That's one of the questions I'm going to have with the Taro leadership, because in a recent Zoom meeting, he kind of made some comments about, not having work out there. I guess he doesn't fully understand our industry, how you have to travel. So.
Yeah. And I found that to be a true too, so I always thought if I ever did another one of those, I would really try to, build a structure where everybody knows what this picture looks like. So, okay. Let's move a little bit forward. I think we kind of touched on some of this stuff, but I'd like to hear from both of you. What do you know now that you wish you had known then, kind of starting in this grant world? And it can be anywhere from, filling out documents, reporting, recording, the work that you need to do, anything that you wish you would have known then that you know now.
I guess first off, when you kind of have an idea of the direction you want to go, and you start reaching out to people to see if there's any interest, if there's some negativity with it, don't listen to it. Again, we were told by a lot of people that the Oregon female prison system did not want anybody in there because there was issues with the prison system. We should try to get into the men's system instead. That was not true at all. As soon as we approached them, they invited us in with open arms. So have an open mind. We do have 3 other pre-apprenticeships here in our local. We have the international apprenticeship they do down in California that we can use. It's registered with the state of Oregon. We have the track program in the state of Washington with their female prison system. That's registered here in the state of Oregon as well. We had the previous cohort pre-apprenticeships, the 4-week one that we can use. I just assumed that we could use that one for this program. Well, since we aligned with 2 other trades, now we have to start a 4th pre-apprenticeship. So just don't assume on some of the stuff. Reach out to your state or federal agency that you're going to get this pre-apprenticeship approved through, and just verify what you can and can't do.
Good points. Anna?
Reporting. So, and you and I talked about this, but there's you're going to have to give reports on where the money's going, how the grant's going, etc. But the portal, or wherever you have to answer the questions, it's the same questions month after month after month. And you might have a line item that gives you 600 words and you come up with 3. And it's the same answer month after month. And at first I was panicking about that. Am I not giving them what they want to hear? But apparently I am. So that was just kind of, I wasn't prepared for that.
And these latest grants are totally opposite from the ones that Jason and Greg got, a few years back. I had no reporting at all. Shoot, I had to contact them and ask how do I invoice you or bill you for these? As a matter of fact, the old apprenticeship training director for the state of Oregon, before he retired, had contacted me. Hey, just send us a bill. We'll pay you right now. I was like, well, we haven't even started those classes. So as a fiduciary, the person in charge of that money I didn't want to receive something if we haven't provided the services yet. So I opted to wait until the end of the 2 cohorts before I billed them. But again, those 2 cohorts were totally different. That grant money from the new ones. The new ones, we got to report every month on each grant.
Yeah.
Also, so my initial grant request was just shy of 400,000, and we trimmed a little bit of the excess. Now I wish that we hadn't, just because of some of the dollar amounts that I saw were awarded, and so that was a lesson learned.
Write your grant, have what you truly need, but have some items on there that you can take away if you need to trim it down later. When we looked at the cost of those virtual welding machines with the cases, and then adding in the torch setups on there, it came out to $184,000. And we're like, well, man, that's a lot of money, just for that. So we were trimming fat quite a bit that we wish we wouldn't have. But I mean, if it cost our program a little bit of money and we get people out of this, more women into our program, so be it. We're still going to benefit having the virtual weld machines.
Yeah, I think that's great that you point that out, and a lot of good information there, for those of you watching this video. But one of the things that I see a lot of coordinators and training directors do is trying to trim that fat. They want to feel like they need to put a competitive proposal together because, and I think they get into this mindset because we're in the construction industry that, we need to make this thing as lean and mean as possible. So the first thing they do is cut those costs, right? Where really what we know now from going through this stuff is it's more important to present a powerful narrative and an objective and a mission rather than trim that fat. Leave that money in there, like you say, because most of these grant structures, they have to spend this money anyway. And so they want this money to be consumed and used. And if you can use it in the best way possible, like you say, get out of that habit or that mindset of, oh, we really got to tighten this budget up, because we're so used to being in that space. So I think that's really important information. Yeah. Okay. Last question, and then we'll kind of wrap this thing up is, how has the focus on underrepresented communities, changed the lives in those communities? And, I know a lot of these, just to expound a little bit and give you some time for thought. I know a lot of these grant structures that come out focus on women, minority, veterans, underrepresented populations and communities. I know that a lot of times we all struggle with diversity percentages, women in the trade percentages, and minority and stuff. And we're all kind of working to give a better opportunity to people who wouldn't have it. So how does that look in your space? How is that affecting your relationships with some of your community-based organizations, and just overall, how's that kind of objective and mission working for you?
That's kind of a hard one to, how it's changing their life. That's going to be on the individual basis. For the couple of cohorts we ran in 2020, over 50% of them are still in the trade. Some of them have transferred to other locals, so we're doing quite well on that. Just getting in any union trade is going to benefit their life. Anna? Throw it on you. All right. So one of the things I know is benefiting is, we all need to bring in more women, more minorities, and some youth. It's difficult sometimes. There's a lot of pushback from older members, even maybe some pushback from the contractors. But in the last couple of months, I've been seeing a lot of our contractors. They're finally realizing that, like in the Portland metro area in the state of Oregon, all these new requirements to get more women and minority in, these projects are starting to come around and start. And now they're getting hammered not having enough women apprentices or enough women journeymen. Well, we can't just produce a journeyman like that. and even the apprentices are going to take a while. So start pushing it hard, build your ranks. You know, a lot of these jobs are 10% women participation. Well, if your apprenticeship's only bringing in 10% of women, you're not going to meet your contractor requirements. Here in Oregon, we've got 60 to 70 some signatory contractors. If they all need 10%, we're not meeting that. So in reality, we need to get 20%, 25% female then. Our minority numbers need to go up as well. So, and we're actually above federal average for our program. So,
yeah, good points. And I think most of the programs kind of in your area are. I think we have a pretty good diverse pool to choose from. Anna, did you have any comments on that you wanted to share?
Yeah, you asked something about like our community partners. Can you re-ask that again?
So what I found was, in my experience, when I started really kind of taking over and working on those grants that focused on women, minority, and you know these underrepresented communities and populations that we talk about, one of the kind of unforeseen benefits was this network of community-based organizations and people actually in the state and the cities who were doing the work of trying to get these individuals into living wage careers. And so within that grant structure over the years, we really kind of developed a robust network and relationship with a lot of these different programs that really helped us in a lot of the supportive services and kind of a pool of these individuals to draw from. So in a nutshell, you know, instead of just looking at our application list, we were able to kind of send out notifications to all of these community-based organizations that would then funnel people down to our training center that met this women and minority criteria, which was a really powerful tool. So
it's actually funny that, okay, so we're on the page now. So we actually had this conversation last Friday. We did with Oregon Tradeswomen.
Kelly Kupacek with Oregon Tradeswomen.
So what it's looking like is, you know, they've got a huge list of applicants, but they only take in like 80 women a year. So we are throwing around the idea of, hey, why don't we have, you know, like a tryout day, a hell day, if you will.
Basic skills, Ironworkers Basic Skills Day.
Right. And
nice.
And since we are partnered with the Cement Masons and the Brickies with this grant, we're going to invite them down as well. Right. And these are people that haven't gone through Oregon Tradeswomen, but they want to work. So then we'll put them through the gamut and see how it goes.
Nice. That's a powerful relationship there. That's great. That's awesome.
Yeah. Oregon Tradeswomen is a great program. We've been a little frustrated with them. The other two trades have been a little frustrated. Just calm down, Ann.
You need to delete this, James.
No.
Test it.
So they're a great program. We felt like we weren't getting enough candidates or applicants from them. You know, other trades are just more inviting. You know, why would they want to pack rebar or cement brick or muck concrete when they can be an electrician or labor or carpenter?
Right.
So we felt a little shortchanged from them. They're a great program though. And so we did have this meeting with Kelly last week and we came up with a few ideas. And so we've ran this basic Ironworker Skills Day for those previous pre-apprenticeships that we did. What we're going to do is we're going to start doing them quarterly, and then not to the applicants that are already in their program, but we're going to do it to the people waiting to get into their program. Maybe they didn't score high enough. And Oregon Tradeswomen, they'll be invited to come down as well. But we'll have the other two trades since we're partnered with them. You know, if someone doesn't like our trade, then we can help out our other two partners. But we think it's a great way. And they've already got the list. You know, it's hard to get women to come down and apply on the regular list here at our facility. So they've already got the names and the people that are interested. So it works out great for us.
Yeah, that's absolutely powerful. And like you said, it's not about necessarily just getting them into the ironworkers, but just exposing these individuals to the concept and opportunity of registered apprenticeship as a whole. So it's really great to see the partnership that you guys are developing with your other trades. the partnerships that you're developing with all of your community-based organizations that are focused on the same mission, and that you're really pursuing grants and kind of moving forward and seeing the benefit of it. So I really appreciate you both being here today. And, the dialogue was awesome. I think this is going to be some really good content for some other coordinators and training directors across the country and in our programs. In closing, is there anything that either of you would like to just throw in as a caveat or say before we wrap it up?
I do. Something
Okay.
something I missed earlier.
Okay, let's go.
So you get awarded this grant, all right, and before you get any money issued to you from the grantors, have a plan on how you're going to purchase your material. All right, you're probably going to have to go to your training trust and request this money. So just be aware of that. It was a huge thing, especially for these virtual machines. We did a Lincoln 5-pack, again, 184,000 and some change. As soon as we gave them the okay to order them, soon when they come in 4 or 6 weeks, we have 30 days to pay that. Well, we may not receive the money from the state by then. So make sure you get it approved through your district council training trust. And then other relationships. Again, we're going in the Oregon prison system. They already have a small welding program there. So I've already got with that weld instructor, and he's going to start pushing his graduates. They're doing 3 months of welding. He's going to start pushing them to us. Now, they may not be part of that 10-week program we do there, but we sure the hell will take them once they get out into our regular program. And if we can't take them, or they're not interested in being a field iron worker, I've already got with Shop Local 516 here in Portland. Let them know, hey, I've got a path for some of the females coming out of there for him as well, because his shop contractors need them as well. So build those other relationships. Watch who you align with. I'm not going to align with the laborers. I'm not going to align with the carpenters. So, yeah.
There you go. Good stuff. Anna?
I've got 2 things, but one of them is Kevin's going to talk about insurance.
Oh, insurance. Yes. Thank you. Everything's going to be a little different. Some of the things that we came up with, insurance binders. State of Oregon wanted us to have, like $2 million insurance on one policy and a $4 million something. Maybe it was a combined policy. And our trust administrator, Jeff Glockner, he had to work with our insurance company and get that. And I think Brian Rigby out of Idaho had the same problem with Idaho or Montana, something like that. But that took quite a while. And if you don't get that, you could lose the grant money that you have. So every state or federal agency is going to be a little different, but look into your insurance. Also start getting information. It's faster if you get direct deposit. Sounds like a real easy thing to do, but when you're dealing with a training trust and bank accounts, who the hell is on that account to authorize that? I know the coordinators aren't. So
yeah, boy, that is you are not lying there. Those are all massively important things, and oftentimes overlooked. When you're going for grant funding, you start to apply for these things, and then you start reading the fine print, and you're like, holy crap, how are we going to navigate that hurdle? So great points, Kevin. Anna?
Right. Yeah. So we can get the grants, we can do the outreach, we can get the people, the minorities, the females, but ultimately we have to keep them. So retention now and always is going to be part of this. So you also have to keep that in mind with the grants. Like, how are you going to retain the people that you bring in? Mic drop.
Yeah, that's huge.
Something that we just learned in a recent meeting with the Bureau of Labor and Industries for the state of Oregon is we were watching some of the other people that applied for grants, that have applied for grants in the past. And they were asking, well, what's your plan to keep funding your program in the future? Because you may not be eligible for grants in the future, or so just think about that. How are you going to get money in the future? Well, you may want to reach out to your contractors, or maybe some of the general contractors, and just let them know, hey, we could use donations to help fund this program to continue to bring in women and minorities and youth. Oregon Tradeswomen has a big gala each year and an auction and everything. So don't be afraid. You may have to do that. I know Anna doesn't like that idea.
I spoke with Warren. He's our political advisor. asking him if he had any ideas, and he said something about writing, not necessarily a bill or something, but it was something about writing something and taking it to Salem. So I haven't talked to you about that yet, but yeah, get with your political advisors, or whoever, to see where you can get the money to proceed with the programs.
Yeah.
And if your local or district council has a political organizer, really get involved with them, because they have a lot of contacts that you never even thought about. Different groups and organizations. Pano's one. I never even knew who they were. So he reached out to them, and we've been in talks with them about doing a pre-apprenticeship. And of course, he's got all the contacts with the state legislators and the senators and county commissioners and stuff like that. So it definitely helps.
Nice. Good stuff. Yeah. The more resources and community partners you have, the easier this stuff gets to do. So, well, hey, I appreciate both of you today. And, we talk all the time, and you guys are doing great work up there. And if there's anything that I can do to help you move forward in some of this stuff, I mean, it seems like you're rocking it out. You don't need me much anymore, but yeah, it's good to have good resources. So I appreciate you both, and I hope you have a great day, and thanks for spending some time with us.
Thanks,
All right.
James.
Thanks, James.
All right. Have a good day.